Event Horizon Hellraiser. Two properties. One, a sci-fi horror, and the other, an 80s horror classic. Seemingly unconnected. However, sharing many similarities, and in today's video, I want to explore the possibility of Event Horizon and Hellraiser universes being connected. We'll be taking a look at things in-universe, connecting dots that are there, but also, it's important to note that these are owned and made by different creatives and studios, so any connection and dot that we make and connect in a fanfiction sort of way is just that, our own connection. Many people will probably be jumping at the fact that I'm not making a video discussing the connection to Warhammer 40k first. But I think that's an obvious one. And there are a few more theories and connections I feel that I can explore in this video first. So please do stay tuned, because another one will be on the way at some point. But that being said, let's just dive right in. Event Horizon, for those unaware, is a 1997 film based around the story of a distress signal coming from an experimental ship that disappeared some years ago. A crew is launched, and the ship's designer to head out, check for signs of life, and then return home, solving the mystery of the disappearance and hopefully reclaiming the ship. The ship itself had an experimental gravity drive on it. This would allow humanity, in theory, to travel greater distances in a shorter space of time. The gravity drive, in theory, was supposed to generate an artificial black hole and use that black hole to bridge 2 points in space. However, this isn't the case. As the story progresses, we learn that the ship tore a hole to another dimension, said to be Hell. Now, Hellraiser has a very similar version of Hell. The Cenobites are neither evil or good. Angels to some and demons to others, explorers in the furthest regions of experience, interdimensional. Their hell, their version of it at least, is the Labyrinth. They come from this dimension after being summoned by the Lament configuration. The Lament configuration being a puzzle box that once solved, and if the one solving it so has the desire, will rip open a door in our dimension to theirs, and call to the Cenobites to come forth. Now, the puzzle box itself has some very intricate designs adorning it, which pertain to the solving of the box. Certain lines and shapes line up, thus in turn, the puzzle box gets one step closer to being solved. The Event Horizon's gravity drive is a very, very similarly adorned device. For something so steeped in science and engineering, it does appear to be very much of the occult, a sphere comprised of intricate patterns and shapes, surrounded by a gyroscope with patterns and shapes, in a room of spikes and spheres. The gyroscope rotates, turning and shifting until aligned. The innermost sphere, selecting one pattern and shape, opens, revealing another intricate pattern, similar to how a puzzle is comprised of many interlocking, connecting pieces. This then shines a beam of light, as if a doorway is opening, and then black. This is what is seen when one of the crew members is exploring and inspecting the gravity drive. This plainly, I posit, is the first connection. The fact a machine is so deeply etched with patterns and puzzles seems awfully rudimentary, especially for something so high-tech as to generate artificial black holes. And then there is the cross-dimension element. The Event Horizon is said to have entered this dimension, this hell. The crew tore each other apart, they were killed, and the ship was possessed or haunted by some malevolent force. The Hellraiser version of Hell is a dimension, a place of infinite order and infinite terror to some. Event Horizon is set in 2047, prior to the events set in space in Hellraiser Bloodlines. However, set after the events of Hellraiser 2. Therefore, the Leviathan at this point has actually been shut down when the configuration was solved, and the god of the labyrinth may have championed a new vessel and taken control of the ship, the Event Horizon. Now this theory, in fairness, is pretty outlandish, as the Leviathan is a god, but even if the Lord of the Hell Dimension isn't the spirit controlling the ship, it's feasible that another spirit from that dimension is sent across to do the Leviathan's bidding instead. Now perhaps one of the largest parts of evidence to support this theory is at the end of Hellraiser 2 Hellbound, we see as the Leviathan shuts down these beams of energy and screams and cries as they fly through the labyrinth and out into our dimension. Now if this is the Leviathan, well, this could be signifying to, say, Dr. Weir to design a ship, sending seeds out for someone to open a larger doorway to the Leviathan's domain, or if it is another malevolent spirit sent forth to do the Leviathan's bidding. This is why I think this theory holds some weight. We know that in the events of Hellraiser Bloodlines, during the space timeline, that the Leviathan is still operating, that the labyrinth is still very much clearly a dimension. But to get from what we saw in Hellbound Hellraiser 2 to that, there must have been a catalyst, as the Leviathan had completely shut down, a non-functioning entity locked off from its ungodly work. Now we know this because of the events of Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth, where Pinhead is allowed to roam Earth uncontrolled, unchecked by Leviathan. Now the deity may have coerced the designs of the gravity drive into Dr. Weir's mind, as said, as evidenced by those screams and cries and beams of energy. This could be instructing him on how to design such a device, one that is capable of opening a doorway large enough for a vessel large enough to come through, a sort of giant and portable lament configuration that the deity of the Hell Dimension could control itself, coming and going as it pleased. This in turn lends itself nicely to a sort of precursor to the events of Hellraiser Bloodlines that are set in 2127, or at the very least, the events leading up to that. The lament configuration is back in the possession of humanity. The Cenobites are chained to Leviathan again and doing its bidding. Now initially the Event Horizon film was actually going to have alien entities controlling the ship, tentacle ones in fact, but this was removed due to the leap the audience might make to the film Alien. I would more liken that to a Cthulhu-esque horror or Lovecraftian eldritch vibe in honesty, but I can see why it was removed. However, I think this allowed the script to develop in a way which truly does lend itself to a connection to the Hellraiser universe. The things the crew see, the haunting-like sightings, very much are in the vein of Hellraiser, as Kirsty had been haunted by Frank in several films, and in Hellraiser Hell on Earth, Elliot Spencer is able to communicate through dreams and visions. These same visions could be used for nefarious purposes. The way the gravity drive is designed is unmistakably puzzle-like, a fantastic piece of imagery. The way it's spun and shifted bears a striking resemblance to the lament configuration. Now Dr. Weir going crazy on the ship could in fact be him becoming a pseudo-Cenobite, as indeed he saw without eyes, a power that the Leviathan could have given him for doing its bidding. Now again, the connections to the warp of Warhammer 40k is something most people would have liked me to talk about, but I feel it's almost too obvious, and these connections to Hellraiser appear to run deeper than a simple field not being activated and going through the dimension of chaos. There is, of course, a connection to Doom in some ways as well, very much so. But the puzzle structure of the gravity drive engine and the nightmarish sequences, I believe, scream Hellraiser. The Leviathan took control of the ship, possessing it, intending to use it as a vessel into our world to reap order among the chaos of flesh. It turned Dr. Weir into a pseudo-Cenobite, thus allowing him to see without eyes, and it laid the groundwork for the events seen in Hellraiser Bloodlines. But I would be keen to hear all of your thoughts, so please do leave them down below in the comments section. If you have anything further to add, or any subtle things which I may have missed, please do drop them down below. If you are new here, then please do hit subscribe. You can stay up to date on the world of pop culture, movie news, and some occasional deep dives such as this by turning the bell notifications on. As always though, thank you so much for watching. I've been Mr. H. Take care.